Good afternoon, everybody. Again, to God be the glory, and just want to thank again for another opportunity to teach these young men about the game of life through God and obviously the game of football. I want to first of all thank our fans. Fantastic support by the Flames Nation, being there in Blacksburg, and we felt their presence there, and over 60,000 people there, and our whatever it was, 3,000 to 5,000 or whatever it was definitely loud, and we appreciate that. The positive of our team, team played very, very hard. I really was pleased watching the tape and seeing that our guys played from the first snap all the way to the last snap, playing as hard as they could. We had 15 players, first time playing in a college football game, and I thought that was, it was a tough environment there. Obviously, Blacksburg is very well known as far as their fans, very, very supportive, and they did a good job. I think our guys in our playing time there, and so they're going to gain a lot of experience from that and going to be better from that experience of playing against Virginia Tech. Moving forward here with Jacksonville, it's kind of another one of those first games, so to speak, for us to try to prepare for them and kind of the unknown. They have a new coach in Ian Shields. Last year, Jacksonville was 9-2. They beat Delaware last year at Delaware, so they got a good football team. They got a good football program. Ian Shields is a guy who has been very, very successful in running an offense everywhere he's been. When he was at Army, he led the FBS. I think two or 3 years there, where they were #1 in the country in rushing offense. Back there, I think it was 2008 to 2012, 2013, somewhere in that area, that he was the offensive coordinator. Last year, he was at Lenoir-Rhyne. The first year there, they were undefeated in the conference. They led the country again there in rushing offense. And so everywhere he's been successful. And offensively, as he's the head coach and runs the offense and coordinator, they run the spread option offense, if you want to use that phrase. If you probably want to put it somewhat similar to maybe Kennesaw State, Georgia Tech, the Armies, Navies, those type of offenses, what we anticipate them to run. But last year they ran a spread offense, a no-huddle offense, so we really don't know which way they're going to go. Then the other part is the defensive side of the ball. Rich Ellerson is a guy who has really done well as a defensive coordinator. Kind of had a flashback here back when I was at Nebraska and played. He was a defensive coordinator at Arizona in the 90s there, and they ran, some people remember the name of it, I think a Desert Storm or something like that, a defense. And it's a unique defense, and you don't see it very, very often. Kind of use a term from a football term. We kind of call it a double eagle defensive scheme that they run, which is, I guess, in a way to try to describe it to the best of our ability. Again, they may tweak it here and there, but they kind of have a double eagle flex deal where they have maybe the inside tackles where they're a little bit off the football, and then they run all different types of stunts, schemes. D linemen are doing different things. The linebackers are running different stunts, and so you really don't know which one they're going to do. They line up maybe somewhat the same, but they all doing different things on maybe different plays. And so it is a unique defense. It is a unique scheme. And so you have to be prepared for those type of things of that nature. So it's going to be interesting for us this week. Again, we've had some opportunities to try to prepare for it. Again, he was a coordinator when they had Ted Bruschi there, a name that you've heard before as for some of you that followed football. Moving on here, I guess about the injury report. Michael Henderman is, I would say, probably doubtful. We'll see, doubtful to questionable. Will Brown's out. Ernst Anderson is out for the season. He's going to have knee surgery here soon. Marcus Fitzgerald is out. How long, I don't know. It may be a couple of weeks, could be 4 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, or anything of that nature. We'll just have to see how it all materializes from there. Then I finish up here with the keys to the game. I think number one is the turnovers. Offensively, we got to make sure that we improve from last week in our turnovers, correct that immediately. I think the other thing we got to correct is there should be no illegal procedure penalties from an offensive point of view. I think the other aspect from the offensive side, we need to make sure that we execute better. I mean, as simple as that. If we don't execute better, then we're going to have a very, very difficult time. And we need to improve on the special teams. And also need our defense to put back-to-back games of playing well, being consistent on everything that they do as far as they move forward. So those are the things that we got some work to do, no question about that, but I also am very pleased where we're at, and I know that we can get those things corrected from last week's ball game.
Coach, you played 9 true freshmen Saturday. Was that by design? And at running back depth, has Mitchell Lewis moved ahead to that number 4 guy who you might get some carries special team-wise late in games if needed?
You know, we did plan to go and play a lot of freshmen this year, kind of talk to the staff about that. You know, I thought we had some talented guys, and I'm willing to play some guys precisely on special teams. There's been some cases where you just kind of say, well, let's make sure they're going to probably play as a second-team guy on defense or second-team guy on offense. They may get a few reps but not be a starter. But this year I just said, hey, if they're only going to play special teams, let's play those guys because they're going to help us in a lot of ways and eventually could help us on the defense or offensive side of the ball. Mitchell Lewis right now, he's being redshirted. We would only play him if somebody gets hurt, one of our running backs, or they're out for a week, 2 weeks, or something of that nature, then we will call them into play.
Coach, was playing Virginia Tech in the opener a good measuring stick, and what's the biggest thing you learned about your team Saturday?
Well, I think a big measuring stick from the standpoint of how our guys respond in an environment like that, and then a very talented team. I think the thing that we learned from it is that we saw our guys being able to respond. I didn't think it was a total mismatch. There were maybe 1 or 2 areas where they had some better players than we had per se, but I think our guys showed themselves. I think they showed their teammates and as coaches that we can play together. We stuck together through everything of that nature, and I think we got a lot to build from. Very proud of the way we stood up through the things. A lot of bad things happen, to be honest with you, from the standpoint of our guys still being able to be out there playing and hard and being focused and all that. So I like the chemistry of the team. So I think if I had to say, that would be the biggest thing that I learned from our football team from this last ball game.
Cam Jackson and Kyle Carrington missed Virginia Tech game violation of team rules. Neither are listed on the depth chart. Are they expected to play at all in some capacity Saturday?
Saturday? That's still undecided right now, violation of team rules.
You mentioned on the conference call that it's the second week in a row you're having to look at film from multiple teams. Last week it was Memphis, Virginia Tech. This week it's Jacksonville, Lenore, Ryan. What are the challenges you face in back-to-back weeks of having to digest multiple aspects of film and trying to devise a game plan, offense and defense, to find ways to exploit weaknesses?
Well, you got to do a variety. You have to plan for a little bit more things. The biggest thing is for our players to know their technique and their scheme, because we don't know what we're going to get. You can't just sit here and say we're going to get this certain look offensively or defensively. And so it's kind of makes it a little bit more difficult to sit here and you're going to zone in on they're going to run just a 4-3 defense or they're going to run this certain type of offense. So that makes it a little bit tougher for us coaches and us players. It takes a lot of more time, and you got to be on your skills as far as what you've been taught to do.
When you had a chance to go back and look at the tape, how did the offensive line grade out?
Not very good. Simple as that.
What are some of the improvements that they've got to make? Obviously, the procedural things were a problem, but what are you looking for this week?
Oh, I just think assignment-wise, being more consistent, technique, being more consistent. I think those are the major two. Just got to know their assignments and follow the instruction the coach has been taught and do the technique that's been taught. We had 2 freshmen obviously hadn't played a whole lot, and Dante Duff there and Ethan Crawford, first time that them playing, and that is what it is. That's going to happen. So we want to see some big improvement in them, and also some of the veteran guys, so they can improve in their areas too.
13 penalties, most of them pre-snap penalties. What's been the message to the team, and how do you address those to improve going forward?
Oh, just relax. You now have played a game. You know what you can do and how you need to correct it. And now throw away the anxiety and just know that you've been there and you've done that. And focus on your task in hand and find ways that we can make sure that we correct those things. So we'll do different things here a little bit with our offensive line, a little bit with our running backs, quarterbacks. Probably the biggest thing is just enunciation from our quarterback, a little bit more chemistry there with our offensive line. But it's good that we got a first game under our belt. Obviously, those two freshmen and a little bit of three guys there, Sam Isaacson, that had played their first ball game. And so I think they're all going to be better. I have no question in our mind that we're going to be better from the offensive line side of it and all other positions too.
Coach, what do you think about the offense, and not so much the plays, number of plays, but the pace at which the offense worked last week?
The pace, we wouldn't necessarily want to go, at times, want to go really fast. We're not able to do that. A lot of that had to do with the penalties. You just couldn't get into a flow of things of that nature. We weren't going to just go real fast all the time, but we just could never get into a flow. And so, again, we weren't satisfied in anything there from the offensive point of view. But, again, it was a good teachable moments that we can go here and sit down and see it. They can see it now, of the things that we've been telling them how to go about doing it. And when you get in the game, how are you going to respond? Like we said, you can only practice for so long and get a person into a game, and you have to wait and see how they're going to respond. Now, they've seen how they respond. We've seen how they respond. And be a few things that we need to adjust to get it corrected. And some of it's scheme, some of it's personnel, and some of it's just flat out got to get more reps.
How did the defensive line grade out based on the entire game for you?
Oh, they were solid. They were solid. As far as their alignments, their techniques, and all that. Obviously, there's a few little techniques here and there, but there was nothing major from that side of the ball. I thought they tackled well, particularly for the first ball game. We had a couple of missed tackles and so on, but overall, the defensive line played well.
Another film question was Stephon. He said, I think Saturday in post game that he just was missing on some reads and things like that. When you went back and watched the film, did it kind of verify what you kind of already knew then?
I think the only thing that verified more is a little bit about our receivers. They had some misreads on some things. Sometimes you look at it and say, well, it was a quarterback's fault. It wasn't necessarily a quarterback's fault. Some of it was the receiver's fault. So on the field, game day or whatever, overall you look at it because you hear a receiver tell you something, then you have a quarterback tell you something, and then you look at it from that standpoint. And now we looked at it, and it was a little bit of both, a little bit of the quarterback, and with some also the receivers as far as not seeing signals, seeing different things of that nature. So, again, first ball game, you can learn so much and so a lot about it. No matter, every team is different each year, and now we know where we're at and know where we need to get corrected.
Hey, Coach, just looking at the notes, this is your 50th game at Liberty. Just looking back, just over the whole landscape of your going into your 50th game here.
I don't know. I haven't even thought about it in that sense. It's a game by game, week by week, year by year. Those things, that type of question is really when I'm done coaching, to look back at those kind of things. You're so in tune and week by week in your preparation and doing what you need to do as a coach. Number one, myself, then my staff, coaching them up to what needs to get done, then the players, all the other stuff that's what's been here 10 years, 5 years. I'm sorry, not trying to be avoiding your question, but I really haven't thought about it.
As you plan for this week, are you still looking to get Buckshot in for one series and hopefully see him make some progressions compared to where he was last week?
Yeah, we're going to go in. He'll play one series. When that would be, we haven't decided there yet.
Going back to the defensive line, how impressed were you with Juwan Wells and the job he did? I mean, got a sophomore that's taking on more of a role this year.
We're anticipating him being a very, very good football player for us. So he has not disappointed us coming off the first game and a very good opponent, FBS opponent, and playing against those offensive linemen. There's no question he was as good as them and better in some cases. So he played lights out. Very, very explosive person, and we're glad he's on our team. And he's going to make a lot of good football plays for us. Got 3 years, so we're very, very happy with that. And good person, solid young man, hard worker, understands the game of football, and God has blessed him with some skills.
You go a little bit more into the Jacksonville defense and kind of what makes it tricky and just what you can expect to see.
I think you're I guess trying to think of a picture that you normally would see at some teams as far as alignment-wise. It'd be a little bit of I guess I'm gonna go into a little bit of technique-wise. You kind of have both of your tackles covered, the guards are covered, They play their linebackers. Maybe they can play them sometimes up in the line of scrimmage. They'll sometimes play them back off the line of scrimmage. Sometimes they play the 3 techniques, 2 defensive tackles. They play a little bit more off the ball versus being 1 yard or maybe from the ball, or even a half a yard from the ball. They could be 2 yards from the ball. They could be backed up a little bit different. So some of you old flex defense the Dallas Cowboys run, they did a little bit of that back in the days and all that. And then it's just stunts. They do a lot of different stunts. Like I said, they got 3-man stunts, as we may call it. You got the end, you got the tackle, you got the linebackers, and they got all different types of stunts that they may run on every single play. Might be a different one. Then you got the 2 defensive tackles, and then you got a linebacker. Then you got 4 people stunts. So you got 2 linebackers, and you got the 2 defensive tackles. They run different stunts in that way. So there's a lot of little different stunts that they run or could run on every single play, and you don't know which one they're going to do. And so that's why you got to have a lot more simple schemes offensively to be able to making sure that you're sound, or they don't get the penetration, and you have missed blocks on those things of that nature. So I think that's maybe the best way I can try to describe it from the average person or average fan, maybe trying to figure out what they do. Again, they may come out and they may not even run that. They may run just an odd defense. They may run an even defense. So they've done them all. And so we don't know which one that they're going to do, and you got to at least prepare for all of those so that you can able to operate offensively.
Coach, it obviously wasn't a very good production day for the offense on Saturday, but just in the term of leadership from Stephon Masha, what did you see out of him, just in the huddle on the sidelines, just going through all that adversity?
Well, he didn't, did 2 rallies from his emotional side. Well, he's not a person that gets emotional one way or the other, where things are going great or things are not going so great. So I think from that side of it was okay and all that. So it's a combination of everybody. It wasn't just a Stephon Masha thing as far as why the offense wasn't as productive as far as moving the football. And a lot of it has to do with Virginia Tech. As far as what they do. So overall, I would say it's just okay. It wasn't necessarily a bad deal. It wasn't necessarily, obviously, a good thing either. It was just average as far as being able to handle it from the first snap until the last snap as far as his playing ability and his leadership. I thought everything was just okay. So, again, he's played some football, but, again, it is a little different when you're the guy and you're going to take the majority of all the snaps are going to be the starter.